be a very good trading opportunity that we could take advantage of. But before I go into the details of that, let's run through what has been happening here. And for the sake of clarity here, I will just start from how the new year started, and this is what we have here on the daily time frame. Last year, December last year, we saw this 1,820 level being a strong selling niche for participants in this market. As you can see here, every attempt by the buyers to break out of the structure had been negated by selling pressure from the bears in this market. As you can see here, we continue to see selling pressure here till the end of last year. However, at the beginning of the year, we started seeing some traction from the bulls, as a breakout of the $1,820 level was a very beautiful signal for us to buy the XAU USD at that point. And lucky enough for us in this community, we were part of this move as we continue to ride the bullish momentum all the way up. Price break out the structure at the 1,860, broke out the structure at the $1,900 level last week trading session to continue to find higher highs. Now, things got a little bit interesting last week as we saw that as soon as price got into the broke out above the $1,900 level, we saw this consolidation phase between the $1,940 and the $1,900 level to emphasize some level of indecision in this market. And if you look at the structure critically, you would agree that a retracement is long overdue at this point, considering the impulsive move that started this year. From a technical standpoint, we should be expecting some retracement phase, which is a reflection of profit-taking activities. So those who are taking advantage of this bullish momentum right at above the 1,820 at the beginning of the year will definitely at one point will want to be taking some profit. And when they will be taking some profit, what are we going to be saying? We are going to be seeing a retracement back into probably a technical structure like our golden zone area, which I consider to be between the 50 and the 78.6% of the previous impulse leg in anticipation of another wave of bullish momentum. So are we really going to see a retracement phase for this week? This is one question we need to be asking ourselves. And if we are going to be looking for a retracement phase here, a counter trend opportunity, then I would likely want to see price breaks down the 1,900, a level which has been a strong demand zone throughout last week here, break out that structure, take out all the buy position here, gather some liquidity for selling momentum with selling pressure identified on our lower time frame, then we could actually join that decline to the downside. And from a technical standpoint, when we look at the breakout of the 1,820 here at the beginning of the year, we expect that one point in time price is likely going to come back and do a retest of that structure to incite another wave of bullish momentum to the upside. And what makes this 1,820 more interesting is the fact that it shares a beautiful confluence with that bullish trend line that has been guiding bullish momentum since the later part of last year. So that is one perspective we shall be looking at for on our lower time frame. Then the other possible situation here is that this consolidation phase here could transition into a trend continuation pattern. And if we take into consideration this engulfing candle within this channel here, this is what happened on Thursday last week, we might likely see price break out of the resistant level here at the 1,940 to incite a bullish momentum. So we should keep an open mind on this one, even though we're thinking of looking out for selling opportunities below the $1,900 level here. We should not ignore the possibilities that the bulls could take the sellers out of this position, break it out of the 1,940, look out for buying pressure above the structure on our lower time frame to join a trend continuation to the upside. So in order for us to have a plan for today, how do we take advantage of this opportunity on our lower time frame? So the next thing I'm going to be doing now is to scale down to a much lower time frame. Let's see how participants in this market has been reacting to the $1,940 level since the beginning of the week to decide if it is appropriate for us to sell from below the 1940, and if the selling momentum continues, then we will be adding more position at the breakdown of the 1900. So let's see if a sell position could be triggered around this area, or we could be getting ready to buy from that point. So in that regard, I will be scaling down to the 1 hour time frame here so that we can see things more clearly. Now on the 1 hour time frame here, this is what I was able to identify after monitoring how participants in this market has been reacting to the $1,940 level since the beginning of the week. So the week started on a bullish note initially. So we had a situation where price started around the $1,924 level here. So we saw this bullish momentum climb up into this area, and as soon as price got into the $1,935 level here, we started seeing some selling pressure coming in at that point. So because of this, I identified the 1935 level as my resistance point for this week. As you can see, we saw selling pressure around that area during the later part of last week trading session here. And at the beginning of this week again, we saw selling pressure coming in from that level. So that is a beautiful sign that sellers are still very strong in this market, and there is a likelihood that we might be witnessing a sell-off, which will be reflected on the chart as a retracement phase to the downside, breaking down that structure. Then another thing I also took note of is the $1,924 level here, which has been a strong buying niche throughout the trading session on Friday. We saw that after breaking above this level, buyers had continued to negate all selling pressure. Every attempt by the sellers to break down this level has been met with strong resistance from the buyers, and as you can see, at the beginning of the week we saw buy pressure coming from that level. So for this week, I have a beautiful channel which we are going to be using to guide our trading activity, and that is the $1,935 level, which is the resistance point for this week, and the $1,924 level, which is going to be the support level for this week. Now with the situation we have here, we already cited a breakdown of the 1924, a beautiful signal that sellers might likely be taking over this market anytime soon. And with the breakdown of the structure here, taking out all the buy position at this point, I took a sell position up below that level, and at this point I'm actually in a loss right now, but I'm still of the opinion that if price action continue to respect this trend line here, I will continue to feel comfortable in my sell position. So I would like to extend this bearish trend line further to the downside so that it will be able to cover the future expectation on the XAUUSD here. So for those who are taking advantage of this move, and if you can afford about a 800 pip stop loss somehow, you could be comfortable in your sell position. However, if you had missed out on this opportunity, well, you can still wait out for price breaking down the 1924. A sell stop order sitting below the $1,924 level could be a good opportunity to join that decline to the downside. So as long as price remain below the $1,930 level here, a level which has traces of selling pressure in the past here, as you can see, I will continue to look out for selling pressure here, and breakdown of the $1,924 level should be a good confirmation that you want to be adding more position to your existing trade here on the XAUUSD. So these are my views here on the XAUUSD as I continue to look out for selling opportunities here. And remember, to make things simpler here so that you can have things a little bit simple for you when you are trading this during the New York session, we have two parameters here, two structures here that will be guiding our selling opportunities. Now the first one is this trend line. After connecting the series of lower highs here, so I have a trend line here figured out, so I will continue to feel comfortable in my sell position if price action continue to trade below that trend line. Then the other structure we shall be using to guide our sell position is the $1,924 level. If price continues to the downside, breaking down that structure, we will remain comfortable in our sell position, and if a further breakdown of the bullish trend line happens, we should be seeing that as another opportunity to add more position to our existing trade. Please note that as soon as price tests the bullish trend line here, we want to be moving our stop loss accordingly to lock in some profit, as we never can tell what could happen around this level. So that is my view here for selling opportunities on the XAUUSD. And another thing I would like to say here, that in as much as we continue to hold on to a bearish bias here, we should not ignore the possibilities that buyers could come in at this point. Anything could actually happen, and one thing we don't want to be doing is to be lagging behind on this one. So we want to have an open mind so that we can take advantage of the contrary if it happens. So how do we know if a bullish momentum will be established from this current structure? Now, we are going to be using that bearish trend line as a yardstick for bullish momentum as well. That is, if price breaks above that trend line, breaks above the $1,930 level, then we might be seeing that as a bullish signal. Remember, we are not getting too excited at this point in time, considering the fact that we have been witnessing selling pressure below the 1,940 level since the later part of last week's trading session. So even if a breakout of this trend line and the 1,930 happens, it's still not sure that this is going to be a bullish momentum. As you can see, every attempt by the buyers to break out of the $1,935 level since last week has been met with strong resistance from the sellers. So even if a breakout of that level happens, we want to remain patient to look out for buying opportunities. Probably price comes back to do a retest of that structure or the $1,930 level with buy pressure above this level on our lower time frame, then we could look out for buying an opportunity at that point. And if this leads to a final breakout of both the 1,935 area and the $1,940 level, then I want to feel very comfortable in my buy position at this point. Then if a breakout of that level happens, it is welcome to add more position to our buy position. So you can see what I'm talking about here. It's quite easy to identify. So we continue to use the $1,930 level here and the bearish trend line as a yardstick for trading activities for this week. So these are my views here on the XAUUSD for today. If you have any questions, feel free to drop your inquiries in the comment section, as I'm already running out of time. I have 5 minutes left, and this is likely going to be the last pair we are going to be discussing for today, and this is going to be the pairs we are going to be monitoring for this week. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop your inquiries in the comment section, and I will be willing to be of help in that regard. I will be checking the comment section from time to time while I do a quick recap of what we talked about today. So let's run through the pairs we did today on the exchange speed. So the first commodity we treated this morning is the US oil.